Hi, Paul here from Photo Genius. In today's video, I'm going to help you understand your camera's ISO function and help you avoid getting grainy looking photos. Now, if you want to take better photos with your camera and move beyond just shooting in the auto modes, then you need to understand the basic functions of your camera. And in this short video, we're going to look at ISO and how to use it effectively. Now, if we were taking photos with a film camera like this older Canon camera here, we would of course have to put some film in the camera. And here is a roll of Kodak 400 film. Now, the number 400 refers to how sensitive this film is to light, and the idea was if you were taking photos in good light, you would buy film with a lower number. You could buy 100 or maybe 200, but if you were going to take photos in poor light, you would buy film with a higher number. That film would be more sensitive to light. Now, one of the advantages of using a digital camera over a film camera is that we don't have to worry about film anymore, because the film has been replaced by a digital sensor. And adjusting the ISO allows us to make that sensor either more or less sensitive to light. The higher the ISO, the more sensitive the camera sensor is to light. The lower the ISO, the less sensitive to light the camera sensor will be. So the idea is this: in good light you keep the ISO very low, because in good light your camera will not need to be overly sensitive to light. But if you're shooting in poor light, for example indoors, you can increase the ISO, make the number higher. Your camera will be more sensitive to light, and in effect that will make your picture brighter. Now, unfortunately, the big problem with ISO is this: if you increase the ISO, you might notice that your pictures start to look a bit grainy. The correct term for this is digital noise. So the golden rule with ISO is this: where possible, ISO, keep it low. Now, when it comes to ISO, there's one question I get asked time and time again, and that is, how high can I increase the ISO on my camera before my pictures start to look noisy? Now, this is not an easy question to answer, and that's because with some cameras, you increase the ISO to 1600 ISO and the pictures look noisy. But another camera may be able to shoot at 5000 ISO or higher and give acceptable results. So there's a lot of variation here. So my advice is to test your camera out and find out how high you can push the ISO on your particular camera. And I'm going to show you how to do it. So I'm going to test out the ISO capabilities on this Nikon D3400 by taking a series of pictures of these subjects. I'm beginning with the lowest ISO, which is 100. So we have the camera set in the aperture priority mode, which keeps the exposures consistent, and we take a picture at ISO 100. We then increase the ISO to 200 and once again take a picture. We increase the ISO again to 400, again taking a photo, and we keep increasing the ISO step by step until we've exhausted all of the options. So once I'm done, I can take the images and put them on my computer, where I can compare the results and find out how far I can push the ISO on this particular camera before digital noise becomes a real problem. So let's compare the images. ISO 100 and ISO 200 both have acceptable levels of digital noise. If we compare ISO 400 and also ISO 800, once again, acceptable levels of grain compared to the original ISO 100. ISO 1600 does start to show more grain, and you can see that when we zoom in on the image. Comparing that with ISO 100, you can see the grain is quite evident, and this becomes more so when we bump up to 6400. And if we jump up to the highest setting, which is ISO 25600, the grain is starting to be quite unacceptable. And remember, the golden rule with ISO is this: ISO, keep it low. Now, if you're not sure how to change the ISO on your particular camera, check out our video Camera Modes Explained. I'll put a link over here to the right. If you have enjoyed this video and you've learned lots about your camera and about ISO, please give us a thumbs up and consider subscribing, as we release weekly videos designed to show you how to take better photos with your camera. You can also leave your comments and suggestions down below, and I hope to see you sometime again very soon. See ya!